Hello, welcome to Steve McDonald's Arts and Crafts, and what I've got planned today is I want to make some pen holders for the pens that I make with using the pen mold. Now, if you want to know how I make these, check out the video that will come up at the end. It's really simple. There's no machinery involved, and you can get some beautiful pens in. This pen here is already earmarked. I'm sending this to a really great friend of mine. I just haven't got to the post office yet. Dulce from Dulce Creations YouTube, who is so helpful to me. So Dulce, this is on the way to you, I promise. And these are just some other ones I've made, and I'm also making some more to put in this as well. So this is a fairly simple mold, but it's important for me to ensure that I get it done properly. I've got my resin mixed up now, and obviously I've got my pots. And what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to be putting a bit of resin in the bottom of these to try and get an edge, because obviously that's going to be the top once it's poured out, to try and get an edge that is as bubble free as possible. And then how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a pipette to squeeze in some resin to make sure it's got right to the bottom, and then I'm going to do a little bit of squidgy widgy in around with that resin to try and dislodge any bubbles or tap it. Now I'm using quite a thick resin here, so bubbles are to a certain degree going to be inevitable because I don't have a pressure pot. Now if I was to put this in a pressure pot, then obviously I wouldn't have any bubbles whatsoever, which would be amazing. And I am saving for a pressure pot. So thank you to everybody that buys me a coffee or becomes a member of my channel, because it really does help me to do this. And then once I've got a pressure pot, I will do a few examples and videos for members and for the general YouTube on how to use it and get the best out of it. What I've got in here is I've got some little gems as well, and I'll put the link to everything in the description, don't worry. And I'm just put some resin in there, and I'm just mixing those round to make sure that they're all coated in resin, because I want the actual top of this little pot to have some gems in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop those in all the way around, and then I shall take a stick, well, not a stick, something quite soft actually, probably a piece of silicone, a silicone mixing stick, and push all these down so they're all in the bottom, so they make a nice kind of edge top rim to it. And then what you can do is you can sell these as sets for the pens when you sell them or give them away. So there's my little silicone stick. I'm just going to pop that down and make sure I've got all those off the bottoms of there, and I'm going to pop that down and push them down into the bottom of this mold, which is going to be, as I said, the rim of the piece. Now I'm going to leave the rest of my resin to thicken up even more, even though this is a thick resin, because I'm going to, in as well as this, the rest of it, I want it to be glitter, and I'm using this large glitter as opposed to the fine glitter. So it needs to be in a thick resin to stop it from all just sinking to the bottom, although it will still sink a little bit. I'll just go ahead and do this one the same when I'm using clear beads for this one, or clear gems for this one, and then we'll come back when I'm doing the glitter. So now I've got the stones in the bottom where I want them, and now all I'm going to do is pour this thicker and bigger glitter into the resin, give it a good stir around like so, and then pour this slowly into the rest of the mold and allow it to find its own level. And hopefully this is now thick enough that it will allow the glitter to remain suspended as opposed to all float down to the bottom. But if it does, it does, and you know, I still think it's going to look really quite pretty. There will be a few bubbles come out because, as I said, this is a thicker resin, but I'm not worried about that too much, because what I will do is I will make sure that I pop any bubbles that come up. I'm just giving it a bit of a squidgy widgy around the sides to encourage any of those bubbles that are there to float up. So these have cured up now, and this is the moment of truth. Now, I had sprayed a little bit of mold release in my molds, as I always do. So let's see how easy this is going to come out. Now, this is going to be not, because they're quite large molds but with thin sides, then you are going to have to roll them down. But just do it gently and take it easily. As soon as you've broken that little vacuum in it, then it will just pop out. The little stones in it have stayed around there, and it's given it like a little planished effect. Although, because they were clear stones, unfortunately, they're not showing up. But it will show up much better in the blue one. But the glitter did stay where it was, and that's because I used a thick resin as well when I was casting it. That's cast really well, and by using the pipette method, you really do prevent getting any bubbles spoiling the corners or the edges of your molds. Oh, there we go. So those ones have come out a little bit better as well, those stones. I really like that. And again, the glitter has really worked very well in that little pot. And once again, as you can see, using that pipette method, you haven't got any damaged or bubbles caught in the corners or the edges. And as a result, you've got a brilliant mold. I also made some matching pens with this as well, which you can use, and these are some other pens that I've made. That one's with feathers, that one's with flowers, that's on its way to Dulce, I promise. There's some glitter, another one with some different colours in, a multicoloured pen, and another glittery pen. And if you want to know how I make the pens, then check out the video that's coming up at the end. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Enjoy your resin. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.